There was one individual that looked us straight in the eye and said, I actually spoke to myself in ways today that I haven't before. And Optimization Day exists solely to give you the permission to win. What if the only thing standing in your way of getting to where you desire to go to was to win and simply reach out and take back your birthright? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Own It Show. I'm your host, Justin Roethlingshoefer, and if it is your first time here, I just want to welcome you because this is a place where you're going to have the opportunity to take ownership of your health, to learn and understand what it means to really take ownership in this area of health, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, knowing that everything is integrated together. And over the course of the last 300 plus episodes, we've just done an amazing job of being able to help reach people who are lost, frustrated, and ultimately just a little bit, I think, oftentimes angry with things that they've been given. Whether that's they've invested in a program that left them unwell, whether that's that they haven't invested in anything and they just don't know who to listen to and who to turn to and who to trust. And we just appreciate that we've been the trusted voice, that we've been a voice that's been able to really break through the noise for you and give you this newfound opportunity. And so if today's episode helps you, all I would ask is that you share it with somebody, because today's episode is solely based upon Optimization Day. And I know you've heard me talk about this, and it's been something that we've done with Own It clients for a long time, but this was the first major official one down here in Miami that we just came off of. And here's, I think, where getting in the room is so special and so powerful, because there was a moment where when we were sitting outside, it was probably 3/4 towards the end of the day, and asked everybody for their takeaways. And every single person, as I asked them what their big takeaway was, every single person didn't actually start with the takeaway, didn't start with the tactic, didn't start with the new tool, didn't start with the thing. It started with, I see myself differently. I'm leaving a different person than when I walked in. I've got a deeper level of connection. I've got a deeper level of understanding. I've got a deeper level of wisdom. I've got a deeper level of precision that I can go step into. And there was one individual that looked us straight in the eye and said, I actually spoke to myself in ways today that I haven't before. And Optimization Day exists solely to give you the permission to win. That's why we do it. That's why we ultimately bring this together and why it matters. And so I want to ask you this question, because what if the only thing standing in your way of getting to where you desire to go to was giving yourself permission to win and simply reach out and take back your birthright to feel well, your birthright to feel healthy, your birthright to be mentally clear, your birthright to have energy, your birthright to multiply powerful, healthy things? What if it was just yourself giving you permission? And that's really what Optimization Day is all about. Yes, there's a lot of cool cancer screening and full body MRIs and 3D heart mapping and DEXA scans and VO2 max testing and metabolic testing and really great fellowship and music and interactive time and a lot of great meals. But at the end of the day, it's the work that's done in the sessions, the connection that's made with people, and the precision that's done in the sense of what we give you as takeaways that are the real big wins. And so what I want to do today is I want to break down the 3 key components that people started to understand within Optimization Day, the 3 big takeaways that people had, and the 3 things that you would get out of Optimization Day if you chose to come on December 11th and 12th in Miami. Because that's the next one that we're going to do. We do them every single quarter for all of our Own It clients. And the takeaways and the breakthroughs that happen are real. They're things that you cannot fake. They're things that you cannot move through. And as I've talked about before, day 1 is a Thursday, and that's where all of your testing happens. That's where we've got people going between our clinic and the University of Miami, and as well as our home, the Health Haven, getting your VO2 max, DEXA scan, metabolic testing, 3D heart mapping, full body cancer screening, brain scanning, lung scans, whatever it is that you opt in for. Some people go and do their scans and then they end up at the beach. Some people do their scans and they go and get a workout in. Some people do their scans and do their testing and they just hang out and go work for the rest of the day. It's totally up to you as to what you do. But that night we start with a mocktail hour, as we should say. But it's just an opportunity for fellowship, to meet other people in the healthiest, wealthiest, and kindest community that exists on this planet, of other like-minded entrepreneurs, other like-minded business owners, connecting with your team, connecting with your functional medicine doc, connecting with your health coaches, connecting with your mindset coaches, connecting with Elise and I, all in person. And so that's really what ends up being day one. And then day two, we start off with a workout in the morning. We go into breath work. We then go into our different recovery modalities, really using everything from PEMF to hyperbaric to red light to a sauna to plunge to full body compression, you name it. Really being able just to get you exposed to a lot of new different tools. And then the rest of the day is all breakthrough work. One-on-one with your coaches, small group Q&A with me, being able to actually take away different types of breakthrough workshopping with me as well, and then leaving by about 4 o'clock, and it's a transformative day. And so there was 3 big takeaways that I ended up finding, and I want you to understand why it matters to get in the room, why it matters to show up, why it matters to say yes. Because here's the thing. The enemy is going to give you distraction as to why you can't do it. Distraction, oh, work is too busy. Oh, you know what? There's too much happening with the family. Oh, you know what? There's too much with the kids. Oh, you know what? I just didn't plan for it. Oh, you know what? It's just inconvenient right now. Distraction will always hold you back from your breakthrough, but the Lord will give you interruption in your life to guide you down a path that brings you closer to the breakthrough that you're looking for. And if right now, as you're listening, you're like, my gosh, optimization day sounds like something I should probably be at. It's not Justin telling you that. It's your intuition and God whisper saying, hey, this is the interruption that I need in your life on December 11th and 12th so that we can ultimately get you to the breakthrough on the other side. And as Brandon Lake says, the only thing that follows obedience is blessing. So what have you been resisting that's been withholding the blessing that you're looking for in your life? And it might be just a simple yes for December 11th and 12th in Miami. And so the 3 things that I want to talk through, the 3 lessons that I want you to take away, that I want you to hold on to, is that number 1, identity is the accelerator. And so when we think about this, there was a lot of people at Optimization Day this year that quite frankly were playing small. And when I say playing small, it's not that they were not successful. It's not that they weren't good enough. It's not that they weren't even finding improvements in HRV, improvements in sleep quality, weight loss, more energy. It's not that they weren't seeing any of those things. It's that they were playing small in the way of what they thought they could actually get to. And when we did breath work with this one individual shared their vision of what they caught in breath work. And they saw themselves as a fit individual, somebody who had the muscle, somebody who had the confidence, somebody who was cloaked in a robe of royalty, and they were strong like they'd never seen themselves before. That vision was the permission and was the birthright that they had been given, but they had failed to give themselves permission to actually step into the habits and behaviors that would create that type of outcome. They were playing small in the sense of, oh, I'm just meant to be like healthy. I'm just meant to be the not obese person. No, you were built to thrive, to influence. You were created to have impact. And the vision that you just caught of yourself is ultimately who you were created to be. Now take this permission to go step into the habits and behaviors. The time in the morning to work out, the time to recover at night, the time to go and eat well, the time to supplement the right way, the time to give yourself downtime, the time not to just be spinning in circles, because that's what somebody like that would do. I asked them this question. I said, who do you see yourself as? And people started to list what they saw themselves as. It was things like father, it was things like mother, it was things like leader, it was things like chain breaker, it was things like captive visionary. And once I got them to understand the who, I said, what would that person do? I'll never forget, somebody was sitting there and they said, that person would protect their mornings. That person would repair relationships. That person would forgive. That person would lead by example. And as these people started to say these things, they started to come alive. They started to actually speak truth. They started to elevate the way in which they showed up. And that's why I say identity is the accelerator. Because right now they were playing small. They came in playing small. They weren't giving them permission to truly win in their health, truly start to be that leader. And when I asked them who they wanted to be, what that person would do, I then said, when would that happen? And they said, now. This isn't something that happens in the future. This isn't something you have to wish yourself into. This isn't something you have to continue to pray for. This is something that the Lord has already given you permission to go and take. This is your birthright. This is what's sitting here. And the way you do it now is by saying, I take this and I accept this and I'm stepping up to the challenge. Because I know I've said it before, but the capacity in which you can carry the new calling is ultimately the limitation on the blessing that you're waiting for. And so when we realize that identity is the accelerator, you don't start with tactics. It's not like I came in and I gave the new understanding of how to use HRV or the new framework for how to get the best night's sleep and increase REM and slow wave sleep. No, we didn't start with tactics. You start with who you are, who you were created to be, the breath of life that was given to you and what was spoken over you when that happened. Because most people try to change behaviors without shifting identity, but ultimately what that leads to, it leads to that relapse, that burnout, or quite frankly, the plateau that you can't seemingly ever get over. Why? Because you've never been able to see yourself as something different than what the ceiling is that you've dropped on yourself. And that transformation that you're looking for comes with the alignment of the identity that's already been spoken over you. But many of us don't know what that identity that's been spoken over us actually is. Thus, it's very hard to give us permission to go and act like that person, because we see it out there, but we think that it's not for us until we actually realize that no, it is exactly what's been spoken over us. It's exactly who we're called to be. And that's when everything starts to change. And so I want you to think about this analogy for a second, because it's like a race car. You can go and update the tires, you can update the paint, you can add the nitrous to it, you can go and put some real cool fenders on the back and get a new steering alignment. But if the engine isn't tuned, if the engine isn't updated, if the engine isn't cutting edge, you'll never hit top speed. You'll never go where you were designed to go, because the engine is the identity of that car. And there's a reason why the people who work on the engine, the engineers who work on the engine, are the people who are paid the most, because they can create the shift and the change to get the most out of that car. And so I want you to ask yourself, as I've gone over this, who do you believe you are? Ask yourself this question. I'm going to put it in first person. Maybe just close your eyes. Who do I think I am? Where am I still living as if I'm not enough? And I want you to sit there and I want you to simply ask, God, who do you say I am? And just allow that to wash over you for a moment. And think about this identity statement. I am X. And I'll give you mine. I am a leader of leaders. I am a rising tide. I make everybody around me better. I am chosen and I am different. And I lead by example to show people what a life that lived different can actually be like. And that's what I say to myself every day in the sauna before I get out, as well as while I'm in the cold plunge. And so I know that I'm a leader of leaders. I know that I'm chosen and different. I know that I lead by example. I know who I am. I know that I'm that rising tide. And that's not something I'm aspiring to be. That's something I already am, because that's the birthright of what's been placed on me. And thus the habits, behaviors that I exhibit every single day simply reflect that. The second is that community multiplies transformation. And so I think what was so cool, again, at the very end, I said, what was everybody's takeaway? What was everybody's breakthrough? And these men and women looked around and said, I feel like I have a new group of friends. I feel like I don't want to let any of you down because we've done all this work together. I feel like I've got a greater relationship with my coaches because I've now met them in person and sat with them, and I love you even more than I did before. And so it's multiplied transformation because it's multiplied relationship. And what do we always say at Own It? Transformation happens through relationship, not through technology. And the ability to now have that one-on-one relationship, the ability to have that community, the ability to rub shoulders with one another has created the opportunity to step in and do something different and realize something different. And so in-person community is a 100x on connection. And being around people who are winning normalizes greatness. Because every single person who is here had a business that was thriving. 7-figure business, 8-figure business, leading teams. All those challenges that you struggle with, all those challenges that you go through every single day, what does it require to sign the front of the check and not the back of the check? What does it look like to be the leader of a household? What does it look like to raise families and have a great relationship with your spouse? What does that look like? That's what this is all about, is being in a community that normalizes greatness, that normalizes a step above, that does not accept mediocrity or bow down to what is normal in our world. And we have to recognize that transformation rarely sticks in isolation, and thus your environment shapes your identity. It wasn't until one person was willing to go first and really start to speak to this identity thing, that all of a sudden everybody else started to see it. And we workshopped it for probably 45 minutes with just a single person. And I asked around the room, I said, is this resonating with you? Is this helping you? Is this actually guiding you as well? And every single person was taking notes. Every single person was getting their breakthrough while we were working with one other person. Why? Because they were the example of what everybody else was feeling. And when you get people in one room who normalize greatness, everybody becomes a rising tide, because it all of a sudden is all applicable. Everybody's after growth. Everybody's seeking that level of connection and intimacy, because that is ultimately the gateway to transformation and allowing it to stick. And being around the wealthiest, healthiest, kindest people isn't just motivational, but it accelerates the buy-in. Because sometimes when you're the person who's different, when you're the person who's living differently, when you're the person who's maybe even living differently than your coworkers, you can sometimes feel like the outcast. But when you get in the community of the healthiest, wealthiest, kindest people who are all winning, you're like, my gosh, my people are here. My gosh, I'm not the crazy one. My gosh, I'm not the one who's settling. My gosh, I'm not the one who's actually being left out. But no, you are seen, you are heard, and the identity that you know who you are and you've got that deep inner pull towards that person is the person that you have to continue to keep seeking towards. And it gives you that next step. Because proximity creates intimacy. And I think too often we think, because I listen to the podcast, I know what the Own It community is, because I watch Justin's social media, I know what being in that environment. But it's only when you get close, it's only when you have proximity that you can actually create intimacy with your peers, with people like myself, with the coaches, with the team that's going to help rise you up, be the rising tide. Because you can borrow the belief until the belief actually becomes your own. We get to speak life into you. We get to hold you accountable. We get to be your rising tide when you actually just need a buoy and you can't yet swim. And that's what my invitation is to you, is, man, if you're like, I've been trying this for so long on my own, I've been listening to this podcast, I've been playing on the sidelines, maybe it's time I just made a call and see maybe if this fits. Maybe December 11th and 12th is when I have to go to Miami and I just have to be in the room, because that's when everything can change for me. And that's my invitation to you, is what does that look like to go from where you are to where you want to go? It probably exists in saying yes to December 11th and 12th. Or if you're not even in the Own It community yet, maybe it's, hey, it starts with booking that call from ownitcoaching.com. Maybe that's where that starts. Because when you think about it, and I love this analogy, think about like the fire and the coals. A single coal pulled from the fire will ultimately cool down quickly. We just got fire pits put in the backyard and they have these rocks that are in there. When I pulled one of the rocks out, because it was heating up really quickly, I pulled it out and it cooled down really fast. But when you pull 4 or 5 of them out at once, the heat multiplies and they don't cool down as fast. In fact, when you pull 2 coals out, they don't cool down twice as slowly. They cool down 8 times slower. So actually 1 + 1 = 8. And that's what happens with community. When you get intimate with your coaches, when you get intimate with me, when you get intimate with the Own It community, you're around the healthiest, wealthiest, kindest people that now all of a sudden exponentially increase your belief in yourself and your results that you're getting and make the transformation stick. And so I want, again, to have that invite to you, is what room do you need to step into? Is it that one on December 11th and 12th here in Miami? Is it just getting into the Own It community and saying, hey, this is where I want to move, this is where I want to go? Because this is ultimately what's going to start us. So knowing that identity accelerates transformation, knowing that community multiplies transformation, we now come back to precision perfects transformation. When I say perfects, I don't mean perfect. Perfects in the pursuit of better. Too many of us are sitting here and guessing. And there was a guy who had been doing a lot of his zone 2 work. He'd been getting his workouts in, and he said his zone 2 was his walks in the morning, but actually realizing that he wasn't getting into zone 2. Because when we did his metabolic testing, we found his precise zone 2 was 117 to 121. Yes, that is a 4-beat differentiator, not an estimation off of your max heart rate or just what your Apple Watch or your Whoop Band or your Oura Ring says. No, this is a precise actual VO2 max metabolic test based off of actual lactate testing and a VO2 max machine. Precision, precise, down to the nth degree, 117 to 121. And as soon as he saw that, he goes, my gosh, I know what I need to do. Now I just need to go and do it. And quite frankly, I've been doing these, but I haven't been getting them in because I just thought I was doing what was necessary. Now that precision is going to be a level of better. And that happened 4 days ago. And all of a sudden, 4 days later, after doing it for 4 days, he's, Justin, I can't believe how good I feel getting my zone 2 in and how the impact has already been able to be seen. And so you have to understand, if you're going to take swings, make sure it's with things that matter. And the only way that we're able to understand what those swings should be is if we have the data to prove it. Precision always overcomes effort, and busy does not mean effective. Precision will always outperform effort, and just because you're busy does not mean that you're effective. And data, when it's applied, creates compounding growth because we know we're being precise. We know where the effort's going. Ultimately, what effective time utilization means, because we can now be really focused. Because without precision, we're just swinging blind, and nobody has time to do that. It's like the archer who's aiming at a target. You don't shoot arrows in the dark and hope that it hits it. No, you've got precision, you've got a scope, you're able to actually see the target. You know where you are, you know where you're trying to go, and you ultimately know exactly how far back you need to pull it, you know exactly where the wind trajectory is, you know exactly how off-center you need to be in order to get it into that bullseye. And that's what we want to do for you. And that's what optimization allows us to build upon, what we already do in a very precise manner within the Own It program, is being able to tailor it, harness it, and actually start to move it in a really powerful way. And so you're already measuring our heart rate variability. You're already measuring sleep quality. We're already looking at nutrient absorption through cellular testing. We're already looking at oxygen utilization through different types of VO2 max testing. But now when we come to optimization day, we're able to do your metabolic testing, your 3D heart mapping, your full body cancer screening, your full body MRI, brain scan, lung scan, your body composition, saying, hey, where are we at and how can we tighten the screws a little bit more and be able to move forward in a really powerful way? Because we have to know that identity accelerates, community multiplies, and precision, it secures the win. When we can look at this and we know truly that identity accelerates, community multiplies, and precision secures the win, you now have given yourself permission to win. Given yourself permission to take that next step. Given yourself permission to step into who it is that God's called you to be. Step into who it is that you have a birthright to be. And take what's waiting for you. Because we do not hope our way into growth. We don't chance our way into growth. We don't chance our way into growth. We ultimately choose our way into growth. And this is what that choice now relies upon. And so what permission do you need to give yourself today in order to start winning? What room do you need to step into that will pull you higher? And where do you need to stop guessing and start using precision in order for you to get to that next space? And so I want to leave you with this invitation. December 11th and 12th is our next optimization day here in Miami. It's going to be an amazing time. And if this is something that has been speaking to you, something that is, you know what, I really should take a look at this, I want to encourage you to book a call, ownitcoaching.com, and say, hey, I want to step into this, and this is something that I want to do. And this can be your very first interaction with us. Book a call. When you get on with them, just say, hey, I want to go to optimization day. If you're already a client and you're like, hey, I know I need to do optimization day, then secure your spot and say yes. Because this is the place in which things will start to change. And I'll tell you what, every single person who is at Optimization Day in September is coming back in December because they're already like, this is the actual missing link to seeing the acceleration of what I've wanted to be seeing. They've already gotten results. They're already seeing the things they want, but getting in person is the acceleration and moving them forward in such a profound and powerful way that really takes it to the next level. And that's what we want available for you. Get in the room with the kindest, healthiest, and wealthiest people in the world so that everybody who's now leading a family, leading a business, leading a team, and ultimately leading themselves can ultimately bring everything together and be like, man, I am not the outcast. I'm not the misfit, but rather I found my people who love to live different. I found my people who are the epitome of what living different actually looks, feels, and tastes like. So that I can step into this new version of me, the better version of me, the version of me that I deserve, the version of me that's always been there, but I just hadn't given myself permission to win. We know success is different, so own your different, and we'll see you guys next week.